It was late at night. Lan Wangji opened the door of the bedroom, walked around the screen with light steps, and walked towards the bed. The lights in the room have not been extinguished, and the candles are still flickering, but the people on the bed is breathing stably, as if he has already fallen asleep. Lan Wangji shook his head imperceptibly, smiled. The night hunt was delayed, and the group got stuck until 10 p.m. and went back to Yunchen. Wei Wuxian, who never wants to sleep late, surprisingly went to bed early and didn't even remember to turn off the lights. It was during mid-autumn, and the night was cool. Wei Wuxian was only covered with a thin quilt, which the two of them had purchased together a few days ago when they went down the mountain. Wei Wuxian's coat was hanging on the folding screen, and he only wore a thin shirt. The hairband was thrown somewhere, and Lan Wangji couldn't find it for a while. Wei Wuxian slept on his side, his long hair covering most of his face. Lan Wangji reached out and tucked the hair behind his ear for him, holding his breath for fear of disturbing Wei Wuxian's sleep. The fingertips accidentally brushed the long eyelashes, and Lan Wangji suddenly stopped moving. Wei Wuxian still closed his eyes, and at first glance there was nothing unusual, but Lan Wangji suddenly said, "You awake?" As soon as he finished speaking, Wei Wuxian opened his eyes and stared straight at Lan Wangji. The two looked at each other for a long while before Wei Wuxian blinked and asked, "Lan Zhan, how did you find out?" Lan Wangji said, "You said, you can't sleep without lying on top of me." His tone sounded flat and unwavering. Such shameless words came out of Lan Wangji's mouth, as if he was stating an indisputable fact, without a trace of emotion. However, in Wei Wuxian's ears, that was not the case at all. He sat up straight after hearing this, teasing, "Why, you are not embarrassed at all? Is it an honorable thing to be laid by me every night?" Lan Wangji didn't deny it. Wei Wuxian raised his eyebrows, and saying in a teasing tone, "It's true that people can't judge others by their appearance. A person with integrity like Han Guangjun actually likes people to lie on him when he sleeps at night." Lan Wangji lowered his head and kissed him on the forehead, saying, "Go back to sleep." So Wei Wuxian, who was already sleepy, listened to Lan Wangji's advice, put on the quilt and continued to sleep. Lan Wangji took a set of clean clothing and walked outside to the cold spring. After half an hour, Lan Wangji returned to the bedroom. Wei Wuxian was lying on his back, asleep. Lan Wangji stepped forward, picked up the thin quilt that Wei Wuxian had ruthlessly abandoned, covered him gently, and tucked the corners of the quilt for him to make sure he wouldn't catch a cold. After doing this, he went to the front of the desk again, lit a candle, and covered it with a small paper cage as a lamp. The light suddenly dimmed. Lan Wangji moved slightly, and he could vaguely see Wei Wuxian around the folding screen. Beautiful sleeping face. The dim light glowed on Wei Wuxian's face, making the face even prettier. There is a pile of paper next to the bookcase, which is the night hunting notes handed in by the juniors a few days ago. Before he could make corrections, he rushed to other places to annihilate evil spirits. He could only deal with it now, so he could bring these corrected notes with him when he went to the classroom to teach in the morning. The first thing he looked at was Lan Sijue's. The description is detailed, but there are few redundant words. The words are incisive, and the insights are unique. Lan Wangji took a pen and was about to write a comment, but the action of writing suddenly stopped. Someone had already completed the work of his one step ahead of him. The critiques are succinct, just like what he wants to say. The handwriting is elegant and imitated so well that makes other people hardly tell the difference. Lan Wangji took a glance at the person who was sleeping soundly on the bed. He could almost imagine how the man was holding back his smile while pretending to be serious, imitating Han Guangjun to correct the homework for the juniors. He hastily read the rest of the notes, and Wei Wuxian has corrected them for him without exception. There are a few points that are specially marked. It can be seen that he has corrected them very carefully and was not perfunctory. Lan Wangji blew out the candle, and his hair, which was wet earlier, was almost dry. He took off his white socks, lay on the bed, and pulled Wei Wuxian into his arms with the quilt. Knowing things at night was more or less unclear, but it didn't prevent him from putting a light kiss on Wei Wuxian's lips. Wei Wuxian slowly opened his eyes, pulled up the quilt, and wrapped Lan Wangji under the quilt with him. His voice was low and a bit tired. "You're so cold." After all, Lan Wangji had just soaked in the cold spring. Lan Wangji was silent, letting Wei Wuxian stretch out his arms and raise his legs, wrapping around his body like an octopus with 8 claws. Before falling asleep, Wei Wuxian's last words were, "I'll keep you warm." Lan Wangji touched his head and hugged him even tighter. The warmth is condensed in each other's lingering breath. Good night.